Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing out there? Good morning. It's the top of the morning. Something like that. I don't know how that song goes. But welcome to the Side Jawn, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Dennis Holmes. I'm here with the chocolate girl. How you doing, baby?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay, Dennis?
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Side Jawn. Sorry here a little late. But you know what? Better late than never. Right, Dennis?
Yes. I'm going to have to agree with that. That's better late than never.
Is that a 76ers hat you got on?
Yes, the section of 76ers.
You got your Sixers on, and look what I got on. Got on my Carl Good night.
Now, why does that Carl Canard, make you so happy? I just wanted to know that.
Okay, well, it makes me happy because it reminds me of the 90s. And the 90s was a great decade. Being a whole grown woman in the 90s, I was able to experience all the joy, all the good parts of the 90s. Forget the crack epidemic and epidemic and all that. Don't talk about or think about that. I think about the joyous parts of the 90s, like music. The music was just awesome. My son was born in the 90s. All kind of great things. I moved to North Carolina for the first time in the 90s. I was moving and shaking on my job in the 90s. It was just a great decade. So, yeah, I'm just feeling a little nostalgic today and got on my Carl Canard 23. Yes.
All right.
And it fits well. So I'm feeling pretty good today.
Okay. Now I get to see. Okay, it's a little throwback love right there. I get that.
A little throwback. Shout
love.
Out to us 90s grown folks. Yeah. Grown in the 90s.
Back when you paid cash for everything.
You could.
Yeah, that was a good time.
It was a good time, no doubt.
Yes, today we named the show "Can't Nobody Take Our Pride, Can't Nobody Hold Us Down." That's what I named the show today. After the P. Diddy song, "Can't Nobody Hold Me Down." So as Saturdays could be a little tricky. We're supposed to have a special guest, but I guess he got caught up, had a little emergency. Things happen. Saturday mornings, a little tricky for people. So
yeah.
We're gonna be turning back the clock a little bit. Well, now, when you were younger, since we back in the 90s, but let's go back a little further when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
What did you believe life goals was when you were younger?
Oh, okay. When you're younger, a lot of people don't stick with the same thing being a life goal when they're growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like one time you might want to be this, another time you might want to be that, another time you might want to be that. I remember the first thing I wanted to be was a teacher. I don't know why, but I wanted to be a teacher. But that changed rather quickly. My mother said that when I was a little girl watching TV, I would sit in front of the TV playing, but I wasn't looking at the TV until the commercials came on. Commercials would come on. I'm looking like this. Commercials go off. I'm back to playing. And nobody understood that commercials were the volume was a little louder. No one knew that. So my mother didn't know that. Nobody knew that. You just watching TV. I didn't learn that until college, that the actual volume decibels of commercials is intentionally slightly louder than regular programming to get your attention. And that happens naturally. Well, I didn't know that back then. Only thing I know is mom said I would be looking at the commercials. And so fast forward a little while after that, I was a rather argumentative child. So finally, I settled on wanting to be an attorney. So all my life, I wanted to be an attorney. I never knew what kind of attorney I wanted to be. That has changed. But I think now, if I were to go to law school right now, it would be a civil rights attorney. That's what I would be, a civil rights attorney. That would fit me best. But as far as your question, I would say being an attorney was it long time ago. Long time ago when I was a little kid, trying to tell everybody off. Be an attorney. What about yourself? What's some of your life goals?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a football player. I wanted to be in the NFL. Good morning, everybody. Sister Sheila, BJ, Carlson Tyler, Jonathan. Good morning to all of y'all. We got the What's Next podcast listening in. What's up, Joe? Yeah, I wanted to be a football player when I was younger. That was a life goal. That was something that I wanted to do. Once I got to high school, I realized I thought I was pretty good at it. Thought I still had it. I didn't play in college at all. I didn't even go to a college that had a football team. That's probably was the main problem right there. And I played semi-pro for about 5 years, but I didn't have a feel. It wasn't the same feeling. Good morning, Thomas. Now, what were some of the things that you thought were indicators of wealth when you were a kid? That's one of the things I want to know. Like there was this lady that said something. I'm trying to make sure I get it right.
I found it. Exactly. You want me to say it? I can find it.
Yeah, you can say it.
All right. So what this guy said was, my wife grew up thinking that having water/ice dispensers in the fridge door was a life goal. I grew up thinking if you had a basketball hoop with a clear or plexiglass backboard, you were rich. What's some of the things you thought were indicators of wealth when you were a kid?
I personally thought having a big house with a bunch of land was wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my eyes, you was rich. And it had to be a big house because both of my grandmoms had big houses. So if your house wasn't bigger than theirs, then I didn't believe that you had a lot of money. Like people used to be hype, had dishwashers in their house. And, that was their indication that they had money. I didn't feel as though that you had money because you had a dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel as though you had money because you had the oven, that was up high instead of down low.
In the wall. Right. In the wall.
Yeah. A lot of people, I knew people that actually lived. They lived in I want to say, we'll just say they lived in a nice suburban area.
Mm-hmm.
But the money that I knew that they made didn't match where they lived.
Got you.
Right. So when people was like, "Oh, they got that old big house out there, and they doing this and they doing that," and I was like, "Yeah, but they don't make no money." I'm trying to figure out why y'all sitting there saying it like that. Like, This is literally a government house that she living in. Y'all putting all this together. Like, she live across the street from a playground, and they got a whole park over there. And all right, whatever. Again, at the same time, y'all do know this is a government house that she lives in. Let's get that out of the way. When it's time for her to move, she'll be moving back to another government house when she gets tired of living there. What was one of your indications?
I don't know. Did Sister Sheila put something in the comments? Because I cannot even really think. It was like, what indicated? Well, oh, if you went to one of the top schools in the area. I used to think that you were rich if you went to the private schools until I went to private school. Then I realized, nah, people going to private school, we're not all rich. Right? But when I was younger, I thought if you went to private school, you must have had money. Or if you drove a Mercedes. That was it. A Mercedes was it for me. If I saw you driving a Mercedes, oh, they have money. That was it. It wasn't about the house. It wasn't about the clothes. It wasn't about none of, dishwasher. It wasn't about none of that. It wasn't even about air conditioning in your house. It was, are you driving a Mercedes? If you're driving a Mercedes, you have money. Put it in the comments, y'all, because I want to see what some of y'all perceptions of wealth was when you were kids. And it hasn't changed. Is it different?
Carson said game systems. BJ said, man, we've been lied to our whole life. I know what you mean, BJ. Because you talking about somebody with a Mercedes. I knew people who had Mercedes lived in the projects. Brand new Mercedes lived in the project.
Yeah, see, I didn't see that growing up. See, that's the thing. I didn't see that growing up.
Yeah, Carson said 2-parent household, one of those jungle gyms in your fenced-in backyard. At least Jefferson said, hey, y'all. BJ said, we didn't know that. And Dalton said, what's up, y'all? What's going on, Dalton?
What's up, Dalton? Glad to have you, Dalton. But yeah, I didn't, and I thought about that. Ice or water in the refrigerator door. No, I didn't think that either. But 2 parents, most of the people in my neighborhood had 2 parents. In fact, only one of my friends had a divorced parent when I was growing up. One.
Oh, okay. She said, big house, nice car, taking vacations, attending formal events with powerful people.
Come on, Sheila. You didn't think about no events with powerful people when we were kids. No, the question is when we were kids.
Yeah, but I can agree to that with Sheila when we were kids because
I can agree with
my grandma was into politics heavy, so it was a lot of powerful people who came by, and they had drivers. They would come to the hood with my grandmother's house, and get out with a briefcase, nice suit on. Back then it was a suede suit. Came out with a suede suit on and came in the crib, and I didn't even know that this this is the governor. This guy's running for Senate. This guy over here is going to be mayor soon. This guy is the mayor. Mayor Good's here. Mayor Street is here. He's going to be mayor soon. Ed Randell is here. He's soon to be governor. Ain't none of that. At the time, I'm just sitting looking at my grandpa like, how he letting all these dudes in the house to go talk to my grandma?
Right. But did you make the connection that this means power and money? I didn't. Not when I was a little girl.
The suit and the briefcase I wanted when I was younger. I said, I gotta give me a suit and a briefcase.
But see, this is the thing. This is the thing, Dennis, with me and my sister. This is what I'm trying to get her to understand. I don't think I'm explaining it right.
Well, she just wrote
my
a big
father used to dress in a suit every day, not just for work. After work, he still would have on dress slacks and a dress shirt sitting around the house. He didn't wear jeans. My father did not own a pair of jeans until he was 57 years old. How do I know? My mother and I went and bought them. We went and bought him a pair of Levi's because we were sick of him going out cutting the grass in a pair of old dress pants and an old dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up because he literally had no jeans. He didn't wear them. And then when he would be relaxing, we found he started wearing his golf shirts. But golf shirts are like polos.
Right.
That was as relaxed as he would get. He would sometimes sit around with his undershirt on, but he never wore anything but slacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
He retired at 55. And then after he retired, he was he 55? I can't remember how old he was. He only worked 30 years. That's how I remember. All I remember. But I think he was around 55 or so. But when he retired, he started wearing sweatpants. But 2 years after he retired, we got him a pair of jeans. His first pair of jeans. So seeing somebody with suits on, with briefcases and stuff, we grew up used to seeing people like that because our father did that. And we knew we weren't wealthy.
She
We
said
didn't
yes.
think
55.
Yeah, it was 55. And so he was 57 years old when he got his first pair of jeans. So for me, looking at just suits and ties and briefcase and people of status didn't necessarily mean wealth to me because I knew we were not wealthy. And my father did that. My mother, same thing practically. She didn't get jeans until she was older. It wasn't 55, but she was still older. And they would just dress like that all the time. So I guess the clothes wasn't the thing for me. That's all I was saying. But I can understand what you're saying. When those people would come to our house, doctors, attorneys, politicians, these are engineers, professors and teachers, instructors, dean, councilmen, all of these people, they were my parents' friends, but it didn't correlate to wealth. But if I looked outside and I saw a Cadillac or a Mercedes, that's wealth to me. That's wealth. Because we ain't had that. We had Buicks. That was it. We didn't have any more than that. So that's just how it was. And just like Sheila said, having a big house, but it has to be big is 4,500 square feet or more. Right. If you had anything under 4,500, that didn't necessarily mean that you were wealthy, because like you were saying, Dennis, they had more house, but their income didn't match up to that big house. So yeah, same thing.
So they got, and it's crazy because they got to steal and they rent me something like $48 a month, and next thing you know, 8 months go by, they kicked out their crib. You're like, how you let that house go?
Right. Right.
Anyway, she said yes because when the news came on, which I didn't watch often, but who did they show? And I would check. Wait a minute. But who did they show? And I would check out the crowd. We had a black mayor, etc. And Ted Carson said,
"Yeah,
I remember elementary school kids who had the name brand clothes and all the new Jordans and them hats with the ball on the top. Yeah, I like these joints." Stephanie said what they were wearing, all the designer names, and you got picked on when you didn't have that. And then Sheila said, yes, he retired at 55. And I think jeans to their generation meant that you were working for casual. You were working.
Not casually wearing for fashion. Right. And that's true. Yeah, mom and dad in their generation, jeans meant you're going out to the field to work, or you working in the alley, you working in the trash, you working. You're not just sitting around the house wearing jeans. And see, in the 80s, that's when all that wearing what was her name? Wearing Gloria Vanderbilt jeans and all these jeans, these high-end label jeans started coming out. And they weren't getting jeans. They were wearing dress clothes at home. I'm just telling y'all. I grew up with my father having closets full of dress clothes. That was it. Suits, separates, all of it.
I don't know. I grew up and I seen a lot. Like I seen kids who had all the designer stuff, and at one point I was like, yo, they got a lot of money. So I realized they had the mall stealing all that stuff. Stealing all that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's how they get all this designer stuff. They selling at the mall. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and see, we weren't ever big into designer stuff. I think I was in high school before I bought one pair. I bought one pair of Gloria Vanderbilt jeans. I bought my first. I got my first pair of sneakers. They were Pumas, and I was in seventh grade. Other than that, I was wearing Chucks and Keds.
Well, I'm glad you wasn't wearing kids in my era.
Oh, Keds was the thing back then. That was not a joke. Everybody
Yeah,
wore
but
them.
they say different things on kids in my
Yeah, I
era.
know.
You
I
know,
know your era, y'all. It.
yo, them kids was
I
terrible.
love.
They was terrible.
Listen, I love the era I grew up in because we didn't have all that. We didn't have all those worries. Much easier being a kid when we were younger.
Yeah, they because Polo had two different brands. It had Polo. Well, actually, it had three different brands. It had Polo Sport, Polo, Ralph Lauren Polo, and then it had Chaps. And everybody would say Chaps was cheap ass polo shirt. And then they would say that kids were, keep eating blank shorty. I let you fill in with the blankets. All right, that's what they said on that. Um, yeah, it was a rough era, and how people
Yeah, that's rough.
now people had sweatpants on with no pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would say, oh, you got on uh-uhs. They would say you got on uh-uhs. So everybody was like, what uh-uhs mean? They was like, hey, put this in your pocket. You be like, they ain't got no pockets.
Ain't got no pockets.
Ain't got no
Oh my
pockets.
God. We didn't make a difference in that. We didn't care. Sweats were sweats. We didn't care if we had pockets or not.
Yeah, you ain't had no pockets, you had on uh-uhs.
Now, if I get some sweats, I want pockets. But back then, we didn't care.
Yeah, I had
See, Carlson is putting in here Detroit in the 90s. He says, see, Detroit in the 90s was a different place to grow up. Those same kids with all them J's and name brand clothes, mom and dad or cousin, uncle, etc., would come pick them up from school in a dope ass car. But see,
that's
he
right.
grew up in the 90s. I grew up in the late 70s and 80s. It was a different time, much easier. That whole designer thing didn't hit until the 80s. That was the me decade. And that's when it started.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I didn't see I kind of grew up and people used to like label me as the rich kid because my grandmother had a restaurant. And we
Serving
did
what? Serving
my,
her world famous chitlin hoagie.
right. And we used to get we used to get name brand stuff a lot because one of my grandmother's favorite stores was Marshall's.
Oh, okay.
That was her favorite store. Like if she would be in Marshall so long, we would be in there playing hang go seek. That's
Oh
how long
yeah.
she would be in Marshall.
Yeah, if you got time to play a whole hide and go seek game, that's a long time.
Long time. Then she couldn't bring all them bags in the house because then she had to answer to my grandpa about why she's spending so much money.
Right.
So now somebody got to go in the house and see what grandpa at, and then we got to sneak the stuff in the house, put in the closets and stuff that he can't see.
So y'all used to help her sneak.
Yeah.
Oh man, poor grandpa. He couldn't win for nothing. Got the grandkids even against him. That's sad.
Right. And that's exactly how it was. And it's kind of crazy because that's how it went. And then as I got older, I started buying my own stuff, and I still got a thing for sneakers to this day, but I had a real bad thing for sneakers. Like I used to get paid every week, and my girl would be like, "Where are you going? I'm going to get some sneakers." You just got sneakers last week. I'm going to get some more sneakers this week. How many sneakers you gonna buy? I got money.
Yeah, how many pair of sneakers do you need? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I got money. I'm gonna keep buying sneakers. That's the way it was.
Yeah, I was never a sneakerhead like that.
Sneakers got the girls. And I didn't want the same sneakers everybody else had on. I wanted to be a little different. So we might
so wait a minute. So you were in high school. What decade you were in high school? The 90s? 2000s. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, see, sneakers didn't, in my day, sneakers did not attract women. We weren't looking at sneakers. We didn't give a darn about your sneakers.
What y'all
Really.
was looking at?
Their money, their status, the way they dress, the way they carry themselves, and did they play sports? If you were an athlete, yes. If you were smart, yes. But you couldn't be nerdy smart. You had to be low key smart. That's how it was weird. I
Oh,
know.
so
But
you
you had
didn't
to
want
be
to.
low key smart.
You didn't want a nerd.
No, you didn't want a nerd. So
Okay.
you wanted somebody that you knew was smart and could speak well, but you didn't want him to be a nerd.
Right. Okay.
Like
I
my boyfriend
understand.
in high school was smart. He ran track. He was a 3-sport letterman, but he was also smart, but he wasn't nerdy. He used to get all A's and B's, got a scholarship to UD, but that wasn't announced. Nobody talked about that. All they talked about was how he was a 3-sport letterman, track, basketball, football.
Yeah, I believe that. Sister Sheila said men buy sneakers like women buy shoes. I believe
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Well, that's coming from a woman who has about 90 pair of shoes at her disposal at any given moment. I
And
mean,
don't probably don't like none of the 90 that she got. Need to go get another
Mm-mm.
pair.
She need to go replace them. And then how many pairs of black pumps do you need? How many pair of black dress shoes do you need? I talk to her about this all the time. She is a shoeaholic. Probably like I'm a chocoholic. She's a shoeaholic.
She
I
said she
I
said she
probably
liked the
only
guys
have
that had on
about
nice shoes.
I probably only have 5 pair of shoes in my closet. I'm not kidding you. That I can actually put on and wear somewhere. I have boxes of shoes that I need to just throw out because I'm not wearing them anymore. They're old. I haven't bought shoes in years. Yeah, Sheila, you might have 190 pair. She says I don't have 90 pair. No, you might have 190. I'm not gonna talk about her closet. I'm not gonna do that because she'll be mad at me. But I'm just
Uh,
saying she has a lot of shoes.
I don't have that many sneakers now. Now I only got like 2 pair. I don't have that many sneakers now, but I'll probably be sneaker shopping like that again a little later on once I get everything
How
situated.
many pairs of shoes, how many pair of sneakers do you estimate you have right now that you
Right now,
wear? Not that you
2.
have just sitting there, that you actually wear.
Oh, 2 I wear. I got one that's just in the box and waiting for a special occasion.
So you only have 3 pairs of sneakers?
3 pairs of sneakers now. I ain't got that many. I cut down because it's something else I want to do. But once I get done with that something else, I'm right back at it. You don't know? Right back at it.
I have more pair of sneakers than you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I have a pair of black Nikes, a red and white Nikes, a pair of black Chucks. I just got a new pair of black ones. That's 4. And I have some light, like Carolina blue. I have 5 pair of sneakers. I
When I
don't
met you,
think
I
I.
had
Oh, and a pair of K Swiss. That's 6.
when I met you, I had about 10 pairs of sneakers. But since then, I got rid of a lot of them. The crazy thing
I don't.
is, yeah, that's it. I ain't buying no more sneakers.
I have never owned a pair. This is breaking news, y'all. Y'all ready, fans in the stands? That's what I call our listeners, fans in the stand. I have never owned a pair of Jordans.
Oh yeah, you
As
waited
much
to the
as
wrong.
I
You
love
waited to the
Jordan.
wrong time to buy something. Though, I'll tell you that.
Oh, it's okay. Somebody's gonna give me a pair.
You're right. Somebody gonna
Somebody,
let you.
this one day, somebody's gonna give me a pair of Jordans. I just feel it. I'm just speaking that into existence. I want a pair of Jordan 1s, red, black, and white. Yes. Size 9.5 men. The size 9 men.
Shit, you ain't gonna find that nowhere.
Yeah, you will. Size 9. Size 9, Carlson. Carlson said, what size you wear, Sharon?
There you go.
Size
Somebody got
9.
you.
Size 9 in men.
Carlson probably
Someone's
got Carlson
someone's
probably
going
13.
to somebody's going to gift me a pair of Jordans. I just feel it. Just feel it. My birthday coming up in June.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh hell no, they too expensive, like $400 and $500. Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I
how
don't
they be
know.
now.
Like I said, I've never owned a pair of Jordans. Listen, my son got a pair of Jordans when he was an infant. He was a newborn. I didn't even buy those. His father bought those. I didn't buy those. I've never bought them as much as I love them. I just have a thing that I just cannot spend that much money on a pair of shoes of any type. I just won't do it. And I've
What's
always
the
been that
what's the
way.
most you spend on shoes?
The most I have ever spent on a pair of shoes is probably about $80. And this was back, it was about, I would say it was several years ago. I bought a pair of these leather, they were dress shoes. It wasn't a sneaker. The most I've ever spent on this, the most expensive sneaker I ever bought was I bought some Air Force Ones.
Mm.
And at the time, I bought them at an outlet mall, and I think I paid like $65 a pair, or maybe $55 a pair. It wasn't much.
Most I spent on a pair of sneakers. Um, I want to say it was what, $180. I bought a
Jeez,
pair.
you out your mind. I
Bought a
buy a
pair of
whole
Air
suit
Max.
for $180.
What was it? Air Max 2011s, I think it was, or 2010s.
Look, I
It was
bought a
all. It
suit.
was. It was all white.
Mm-mm. I bought a suit that had a jacket, a pair of slacks, and a skirt for $180. I just can't see. I just can't see spending that on a pair of shoes.
Oh, it was all white. I bought them. I used to call them. I used to call them my cocaine. So that's what I used to call them. Thanks,
Hey,
Donovan.
hey, Carlson Tyner. I will accept some Air Forces, Air Force Ones too, all white, high top, high top or low. I prefer the low, but I'll do high top or low.
Yeah,
Now
thanks,
those are
Donovan.
not $400 to $500. You can help me that. What's up, Maurice? That's
That's Donovan.
Donovan actually.
Yeah.
Hmm. Thanks for the stars, Donovan. Yeah, Air
Uh,
Forces. Don't laugh at me, Carlson. Air Forces. I love Air Forces.
the
Got
the
Nelly think I got Nelly playing in my head right now. Some got me
That's when they
stomping in
used to.
some
That's when
Air
they used
Force
to be
Ones.
$75. The Air Forces was $75 at that time. That wasn't a bad price to pay for some Air Forces.
Yeah,
Now, them
I
same Air
paid about
Forces going for
65.
150,
Yeah,
120 to
I paid like $65. I got a pair for my man and my son, and then I had a pair. I got a pair for myself
Oh, y'all was
when
all
I
Air
was
Forces. Look at y'all.
yeah, it was
Yeah, you
all
can't
Air Forces. It was
can't
all
wear
Air
all black Air
Forces and
Forces.
Timberlands that Christmas. All Air Forces and Tims. That's all I bought.
Yeah, Timberlands
And
used to be a nice price. It used to be
Dickies.
a
You know
buck
about
50.
Dickies, right? You know about
Yeah.
Dickies? And Dickies. That's what I bought. I bought them both some Dickies suits matching. So the father and son
Only
can go
wore
out.
only wore certain colors in Dickies: black, gray, tan, and the UPS brown. That's it.
No, I only wore navy. I wore navy.
Oh no, I did have a navy blue one. My fault, navy blue.
I wore navy. I still have those. I have my shirt and my pants, and I can still, well, I can probably just now start wearing them again now with all this, all this rejuvenation going on over here with the
Yeah,
chocolate girl.
that's the throwback. I'm trying to think who was the richest person I knew when I was younger. That's what I was trying to think about.
Who was the richest person that we knew, Sheila? I would say my auntie.
Nah, I think it was a drug dealer. To be honest with you,
I ain't know no drug dealers.
I know a bunch of them. I know a whole
Didn't
bunch of
know
them.
any of them. Didn't grow up around them. Didn't know them. Didn't know anything about that. We lived in the suburbs. We were quiet people. We went to church every Sunday, just about. Went to school. Uneventful.
Yeah,
And then our parents. Everybody in the city knew our parents. We couldn't we couldn't be seen walking around hanging out with people. We just couldn't do it. It just wasn't our life. Nothing against it. It just wasn't our life.
nah, I didn't. I didn't know them. Like that.
I
But
didn't
I
even know
knew.
who they were.
Oh, I knew them because they was in the community. They took care of the community.
No, no.
They
See,
took care
our,
of the
our
community.
parents took care of our community. We didn't have to rely on it. It was just a whole different. It was like utopia. I'm telling you, if I could just write a book or do a documentary on our childhood and the neighborhood we grew up in, you would be stunned.
She said we knew drug dealers, but didn't know they were drug dealers.
Okay, well, she said, she also put TTYL about that. In other
Talk to
words,
you later.
she's gonna talk to me later about it because guess what? Sharon still don't know it, so she's gonna have to inform me because I have no idea. I'm telling you. BJ Samuel said, "I thought my uncle was living TBT. What's that mean?
I don't know. Throwback Thursday. I don't know.
I don't know. TBT life. Maybe he meant THT, that life. He had 2 houses, a badass car, was always going out on vacations. Whole time he was, never mind. Ain't no telling.
He said,
Coming from
I thought he
BJ.
was living the life. Okay.
Oh, the life, yeah.
Yeah. She said she just found out 6 months ago. Hey,
Oh,
don't have some high class ass drug dealers with you.
Oh, we gonna have to have a conversation after this show because I need to find out what's going on. I don't know who she talking about.
Y'all next door neighbor Lenny. Lenny over there was slinging that rock.
Shit. If he was, but see, rock wasn't out when we were young. See, that's what I'm saying. Rock came out when I was in college.
Man,
I was late high school, going to college, late 80s. I was in college.
They used to call Lenny baby powder. That's what they used to call him because he always had that powder.
Carlson said my grandma was the pill lady, and he didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's something when you find out stuff about your ancestors that you didn't know.
Man.
Like when I was little, my grandmother had some cousins. They were my grandmother's cousins. They would always be drunk. I thought they were just funny, like comedian funny at first when I was little. I didn't know that they were drunk. I didn't understand the concept of what drunk was until I got a little older. Then I realized, no, they just drunk. They get drunk every weekend. But Monday morning, I told you this before, Monday morning they at work. On time and present. They did not drink during the work week. But on the weekend, and they always had to come by my grandmother's house, Miss Mac. They would always be over there drunk as a skunk and cracking us up when we were down there.
They ran numbers and weed. Ain't that
okay? I don't want to hear no more, Sheila. Until you can tell me who it is, I don't want to know. And I know she's not gonna publish it, so I don't want to hear no more.
Yeah, we're gonna see you at the. All right, let's get into the next subject, shall we? Now, listen. Now, Sharon, you brought this to my attention sometime last week about the middle school white kids who staged a mock slave auction. I'm gonna say this again. There were middle school white kids who staged a mock slave auction in the school selling black students in 2022. Now, this happened not too far away from where you live at.
That's right. It happened in Chatham County, North Carolina, which is right next door to Durham County, North Carolina, where we live. And when I first saw the headline, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I thought it was a little known Black history fact or something like from back before. No, this just happened in March, this month, in 2022. Even after everything, these are young middle school, grades 3 through 8. That's in this middle school, right? No, 3 through 8 is what they said. So this was brought to my attention. It was an AP news article, Associated Press news article, first one I saw. And this is what happened. These students decided at this school that they were going to have a slave auction. So this is a middle school that is 60% to 65% white and 35% black. Okay. But they decided they're going to have a slave auction, and it was at the school. It was originally reported that some staff and faculty were present when this happened. The latest news is that no adults were there. I don't believe it. What middle school do you know that where kids are left completely alone long enough to hold a slave auction? What
None,
middle school you know?
none.
I don't
Even
know of
even
any.
if you
Not
did
in
it
middle
during
school.
even if you did it during recess, you still got some NTAs out there, or maybe they call them IAs now. Whatever you want to classify yourself as, there's some adults out there watching them kids. All right, let's just say
Exactly.
that.
Somewhere. So this happened at the J.S. Waters School in Goldston, Goldston, North Carolina. It's in Chatham County, North Carolina, which has a black superintendent of schools.
Mm.
But he's only been there since July. So he's newer, not familiar with stuff. His name is Anthony Jackson. Jackson, you can't get more black than that. But he's
Wait a
there,
minute.
right? He's there. And he didn't know anything about it, of course. Guess how it came out, Dennis? You
How'd
know
it come
why it
out?
came out? Because one of the students that were sold is of mixed race, young man. He has a black father and a white mother. And it took the white mother getting upset and reporting it. The white mother. And this is where it gets really interesting to me and kind of sad. Because what happened was when she's talking to her son, and the son is talking about what happened, and he's saying, well, mom, stuff like this has been going on for months. And she's like, well, why haven't you ever said anything? He said, well, it's just so usual and customary. I didn't think it was big enough deal to have to report it to anyone. That broke my heart. Anytime a child's spirit is that broken, that something so heinous can be seen as routine and standard practice, that they say, it's no big deal, no need to even report it. What in the world? What's that saying about what's going on at that school?
It's become the norm.
That is so heartbreaking. Anytime your minority child feels like being sold as property is normal. See, that's what they want, Dennis. That's what they want.
And they
That's
trying to
what they want.
they trying to instill it in them kids at a young age.
That's
So they get
exactly right.
they get their kids to instill it in our kids.
So I tell you what this has me thinking. So here's the latest. First of all, the students were only given a 1-day suspension for doing this at first. But once the news hit the fan, I'm going to say it that way, the news hit the fan, and you know what the S word is, hit the fan, and it got to be known this is what happened, and the media got a hold of it. Now those students have been given longer suspension times. I think, so here's the timeline. March the 1st, the parent called the school saying black students were being sold by classmates during the mock slave auction. And this was during baseball practice, Dennis. So don't tell me that there were no coaches around. March 4th, Ashley Palmer, that's the name of the mother, she posted on Facebook about the slave auction and says there's also video of students harmonizing to the N word. So in other words, what they were doing, they were saying the N word and saying nigger, nigger, singing it, nigger, nigger, stuff like that. That's what they were doing. Right? So she
Right.
posted about that on March the 4th. March the 9th, our local newspaper was the first media outlet to report about it, and then other media outlets across the state and the world report on the incident. March the 14th, community activists hold a press conference at the Chatham County School Board meeting demanding changes to address incidents of racial bias in the schools. Then the superintendent issues the apology, and the school board adopts his plan for trying to prevent similar incidents from happening again. You got to have a plan. You got to have a plan to try to prevent people from being racist. This is just sickening. March 21st, which was just 5 days ago, Chatham County School System says this investigation confirms that the auction happened, but they say no school employees were involved in the incident. I don't care if they were involved. Nobody ever said they were involved, but they had to be there. It was baseball practice. There were no coaches there at the baseball practice to see this going on, but they didn't stop it. Yeah, okay.
So that's
All
not
right.
how many kids in baseball? About 25?
Gotta be.
Maybe 30.
Gotta be.
Well, if that's
At
the case,
least.
then you get rid of all 30 of them kids.
Let me tell you something. If I had my way,
the ones that did the bad stuff, you get rid of all 30.
let me tell you, all them
kids,
those kids would be at the alternative school. You know, they always have the alternative schools for the students that are bullies, that cuss the teacher out, that's violent.
Yeah.
To me, racism is violence. Yeah. That is bullying. That is violence. You are mistreating people. Yeah. They need to be put in the alternative school.
That's exactly where they need to be at. Yeah. Sitting there.
And
in
if they don't want to
we got
go
a school
there,
called I don't know if it's still open now, but when I was in school, it was a school called CEP in Philadelphia. Yeah, that's where they sent all the kids at. Yeah.
Well, to me, that's where they need to go.
When you realize that you ain't the toughest one in school, oh yeah, you straighten up real quick.
BJ said, why she singing it like that? Because that's how they were singing it according to the video. They were singing the N-word like it's a great song and harmonizing to it. That's trivializing it. Like it's so routine to say. I'm telling you, these people that are raising their children to be racist, they are just diabolical. Do you know how sick you gotta be to raise your kids like this? To tell your kids this is what you should do. This is how you should act. This is how you should act. When you go to school and you see a black student, you should call them nigger and you should say you're going to lynch them and stuff like that. That's what you should do.
But they've been getting away with that for a while. This ain't just start March 1st.
Oh no.
I believe they was saying it though, Black History Month. I believe they was.
Look. This has been going on forever. It won't stop until we as the grown-ups stop it. You got to start with the children. And this is what they know, which is why they're trying to protect little Lily and little Billy from hearing about racism and slavery, because they want them to be empowered. Oh, we don't want to hurt their feelings. So they can grow up to be just like them, white supremacists. And I'm sick of it. There has got to be something. My sister says shave their heads and write racist in black Sharpie on their foreheads and then send them to the alternative school. I bet the press would be all over that. Yeah, they would. And they would call it child abuse for writing racist on their head. But see, if one of those black students had hauled off and slapped and beat up one of them white kids, it would have been a problem. They would have gotten assault charges. This is why I'm glad I changed my mind about being a teacher, Dennis. I couldn't be a teacher.
I actually want you to be a teacher.
No. I would be in prison.
Nothing against your your dream of being an attorney. Nothing against it. But the teacher, to me, fits you better.
Why? Why, Dennis?
You give such great knowledge. You actually can reach out. You actually can reach out and touch some of these kids in a different way. That's why.
You think I can reach out and touch racist children?
I think that you. I didn't say that about no racist kids. I didn't put that.
But see, that's the thing. If I'm a teacher,
I'm talking about those other kids, those ones that, you like. There's kids out there. Parents ain't really doing nothing for them. The lights ain't on. They go to school. They don't. They wearing dirty clothes to school because ain't nobody really taking care of them at the household.
Right.
They excited to come to school and actually eat breakfast because breakfast and lunch for them is the only meal that they actually eat.
Right.
Yeah, you can actually reach out and touch some of those kids.
But Dennis, darling, I appreciate your compliment. I really do.
Man,
But I can reach these kids, those children that you speak about, without being a teacher in that school.
you could be the principal.
No, no, no. Can't do it. I
Why not?
cannot work full time in a school with these children because I would hurt one of them.
Why you gonna hurt the kids?
Because that's how angry I would get. Dennis, you've been listening. You've known me 2 years now.
Yeah, but I
You
don't think
know,
you.
you
I
know
didn't
who.
say the racist kids. Let me get that out of the way. Where
But the
you going?
racist
Ain't gonna
kids
be
are
no
in the
racist kid.
schools. They're in the schools, though, Dennis. The
I,
racist children are there.
now I roll the dice on this, but I highly doubt that's gonna be your first
I
job with
would
that
reach
racist
out and
kid.
touch those kids. Yes, I would. And it would not be nice. I would reach out and touch
Swat.
the racist
Reach out
children.
and touch. What?
That's right.
That's right.
I would. And it would not, I would be in jail. Because I'm telling you, I watched too many videos of these MF children being disrespectful to these teachers. I could not take it. I'm watching the video and I'm getting irate. My hands are shaking because I want to put my hands on one of them and just shake them like a what do you say? What's this dude's name? J. Anthony Brown. Just want to shake him. Just shake him.
Shake that shit. You know what I
Just
mean?
keep shaking them. That's what I want to do. And you can't do that. That can hurt people.
You ain't supposed to be hitting nobody now.
No, you can't do that. So guess what? The best thing for Sharon, the chocolate girl, to do is to keep her hind parts from being a school teacher. Now, I do have a friend. Shout out to DJ Craze in Durham, North Carolina. He works at a school where it's like 80 to 90% of the kids are on free or reduced lunch, right? So they come from backgrounds that are economically challenged. And he really works hard to support these children through his school, but he's there at the school. He's one of the resource officers. So he's there, not a resource officer like a cop. He's one of their staff. And he really does things to bring adults into the schools to help him love on these children. And many times he has like some people come in and read to the younger ones. And he just had that last week. And I wish I would have known I would have tried to do that. But because of my health issues and stuff, I haven't been participating. Well, as I'm feeling better now, I may start doing that through him. And because that's where my heart is. My heart is for children and adults, children and older people, children and the elderly. They're the most disrespected people in our nation. And
That's
that's
why.
who needs to
That's the
be
reason why.
protected.
The reason why you need to be a teacher.
That's why I need to
Because
be a social rights attorney too, a social justice attorney too.
yeah,
Because
but
things that are going on with them, you need someone who understands the law. See, it's understanding the law is actually half the battle, if not more. Just understanding what the laws are. And if as a layperson, we don't even know a whole lot of things. But when you're an attorney, you have access and you learn things. Knowledge is power. And there has to be better ways that we can serve these children that need our help than what we're doing. And I want to be a part of that. But as a teacher, no. Like Sheila said, let a child call chocolate the N word. She will backslap them like your grandma before she realizes it. And that's true. That's true.
shout out to Dalton, man. Congratulations, Dalton.
What Dalton do?
Coaching the Special Olympics.
Oh yeah, but what did he do this time? Because he always does something great. What did he do?
He said he got first and second place and fourth place.
Yay!
Track athletes.
Awesome job,
hey,
Dalton.
BJ, I am team. You know what I'm saying? I am team. Fuck them kids. All right, I am that team. That's the team. I'm on that team. All right. Now I ain't disrespecting no kids. I ain't out to just kick no kids down the stairs. I love them kids. As soon as they get out of hand, that's when I get my team on. I'm ready to tag somebody in. We ready to take care of these kids.
And see, I'm like Bernie Mac. I'll hit them kids in the throat and keep it moving and
Hey,
just not think about it. That's how I am. And like I had to tell your girl that night in the Zoom, I'm not watching your kids if you won't let me put my hands on them. Mm-mm. Your badass kid is not running around in my house thinking you're running my house while I'm watching them. And you say, "Oh, you can't tap my child. You can't touch my child." Well, guess what? Your child can't stay with me.
no, no, I'm not gonna beat your child. I know
Not beat,
huh?
but I'm gonna whoop them. I'm gonna smack their
I'm not gonna
behind.
whoop them. I'm not gonna beat them.
I sure am.
I'm not gonna do none of that. I know your
What you
child's
gonna do?
scared. I know your child's scared of the dark. I'm putting him right in the closet. What's your kid? What's your kid? What I ain't never beat him. What you talking about?
See, I'm the type of woman that will have your child standing up against the wall with your back straight up on the wall with your hand holding two books
Two
for as
books.
long as you can. I'll do
Exactly.
that. I will do that. I'll do that. Arms tired? Pick the books up.
That's right. Either you gonna
Now,
push up or you gonna shut up.
now the next time I tell you to sit down, what are you gonna do? Sit down. I said, okay.
Man.
BJ said, I just walked in Roses, right? They're hiring, they have applications on the table. Next to that, they have a table with complete applications. Yo, everyone information is just sitting here for anyone to grab. Hey,
What's
that's
roses anyway?
Roses is a store like it's a discount store, but it's
Oh,
a discount store. It's like odd lots or big lots. Do you
okay.
have that up there?
I got
Like
big lots.
big
Yeah.
lots? Yeah, it's like that.
Big lots got all the they got like the creative drinking creative drinking games in big lots. I like big lots.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. But yeah, I
That's my
just this
that's my part alcoholic that's kicking in. Don't worry about it.
but see, yeah, this slave auction thing, this story is not over. This story
Now,
is not
well, I
over.
mean, now let's go since we throwing it back. We've been throwing it back today. Now, when you
Mhm.
was a kid, do you remember your one of your interactions with racism?
Yes. I have it's hard to say when my first one was because really quickly, my parents were all black. You know what I'm saying? Blackly black, blackly black. We grew up in a neighborhood that was 98% black, 98, 97, but it was a township. It was black professionals. So it's different. And so but I went to church where about, I'd say 20 to 30% of our members were white, right? And church was very big in my family. And it exposed me to white people early. Same thing where my parents worked. They worked around a whole bunch of white people, Air Force Base and school system. So we always had to deal with white people, but we never had to deal with them insulting us or anything when they would come in our house or anything because they knew better. The first thing that, okay, the first story I remember about racism was when my father was invited to one of his co-workers' parties. And when he had just got a new Chevy, it was white actually, it was a white Chevy. And when, or no, it wasn't. It was a light blue. That's what it was. It was a light blue Chevy. And when he came out, they had vandalized his car. Yeah, because he had no business in the neighborhood. That's one of the first memories I have of something racial happening in our family. But I do have to say, the first time I remember someone calling me the N word, I was a freshman in high school. Um, I was a freshman in high school, gym class. The gym teacher was out, and I had a migraine. If anybody's ever had a migraine, put it in the chat if you've ever had a migraine. First of all, the fact that I went to school with a migraine was rare because I think I was on day maybe 3 or 4, so I was coming out of the migraine. And this was on a Monday. but I didn't like to miss school if I didn't have to. That's how I was about school. So I went to school, but because we didn't have a substitute for gym class, they let us sit in a room and do whatever, but we had to stay in the room. So I'm sitting there at the desk with my head down, and I definitely had a migraine. Definitely wasn't bothering anybody. I'm the only black student in the class. It's about 20, 22 students. And I'm sitting there with my head on my desk, and all of a sudden, I hear somebody say something like, "Watch, watch what I do to this N word." I heard them talking, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, so something about to happen because I can hear them. Do you know this fool had a denim notebook? Have you ever seen a denim notebook, Dennis?
No.
A big 3-ring binder notebook.
Yeah.
That's covered. The cover is denim material.
Oh.
It's like blue jean material is what the cover is made of. Okay. I just remember this distinctly because it was a big ass notebook. He took his notebook, decided he's going to hit me in the head with his notebook and laugh about it. And I have a migraine.
Oh.
Right? So I'm sitting there. He hits me in the head and he sits back down. And I look around. I'm like, and my head is throbbing. I'm like, look, I don't feel good. Don't leave. You just need to leave me alone. Right? I was so sick. I didn't even feel like arguing. Put my head back down. Do you know he hit me again? And when he hit me the second time, he was laughing and the kids around him was laughing. Because see, the first time, nobody laughed the first time about the hit. They were just like shocked. The second time, he was snickering and the other kids were snickering. And so I looked at him and I said, let me tell you something, MFer. I said, if you hit me one more time, I'm going to beat your ass. Try me. I remember saying this and I was serious. Put my head down, Dennis. This MFer hit me again. I jumped up out of that seat. Because remember, do you remember the desk that had the little arm that comes down on this side?
Yeah.
So you had to slide in this way. I jumped up over the arm and whooped his ass in that classroom. Remember, there's no teachers in the classroom. I beat him so bad. I beat him down on the floor, slammed his head up against the, don't you ever hit me again. And I said, I got your nigga. I got your nigga. I kept saying that. I remember saying that. And I hit him. And then I said, now. And I said it. And then I took his notebook. And the last thing I did is I slammed it on him. Boom, like that. And I got back and sat down. Soon after, the teacher came and was like, okay, you guys can go on to the next period. And nobody said, everybody was like, oh. Do you know nobody told?
Nah, ain't nobody gonna tell.
But let me tell you what happened. That was the last week of school before Christmas break. He never came back to the school.
Dang.
Never saw him again. Because he was so embarrassed that he got beat up by a black chick. He didn't bring his little white tail back. But my point of telling that story is that's the first time I remember hearing anyone say that word to me, directed at me.
Yeah. Well, first let me read this. Vi wrote something earlier and I missed it. She said, this is why CRT needs to be taught because our mistreatment in this country is so minimized.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that's the whole part. And see, CRT is not taught in these schools, in secondary education. That's taught at the college level. What we need to make sure is taught is not CRT exactly. It is Black history, American history, the truth about American history. That's what needs to be taught. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop teaching that in schools under the guise that it's critical race theory, which is a lie. That's not what's taught in elementary and high schools now. It's only taught in college. We need to continue teaching the truth about American history so these kids can know this is not minimized. This is not minimal what's going on here. It's pervasive. It's so highly ingrained in this country. And they will not let it go. They will sell their mama and their daughters before they let go of the theory that they are better than everyone. White supremacy is like their tenet. It's their main thing to racists. It's more important than making money, more important than anything. We've got to keep y'all Negroes down so that we feel superior. That is the first and foremost thing on priority on their list. Yeah, my parents taught us that when we were little, and we saw it to be true.
Sister Sheila said, yes, I remember chocolate. Yes, migraine. BJ said, yep. Vi said, I was in the 7th grade and one of those white guys in my classroom, known to be a bully, called me one. Don't remember her whole interaction, but by the end of the school day, the black guys in the classroom rolled up on him, and I didn't have to say or do anything.
Well, girl, let me tell you. In my class, we had 500. We had five. Okay, hold on. We had almost 500 students in my class. There were 8 black students in the class of 84 in my high school. And like I said, I was the only black person in my gym class that year. This is my freshman year. Yeah.
Yeah, BJ said, I'm still stuck on you let him get away after the first one.
Who said that?
BJ said, I'm still stuck on you let him get away after the first one.
Because if you've never had a migraine, you don't understand. I was that ill. That's the only reason why I didn't do it after the first one. But I do believe in giving warnings, BJ. So I gave him a warning after the second one. I told him what I was going to do. Just like in 6th grade, I told that girl she didn't give me my money by the end of school. I was going to kick her butt on the last day of school. And I had to do it 3 years in a row.
Yeah, your sister said, I remember she never seen that boy again. Ethan said, good morning. BJ said the Eagles are signing linebacker Kaiser White. Give him a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. Please go follow Sam Sports for all your latest information on sports and entertainment. Jonathan said, Sharon, who was you cooking?
No, he said, woo, Sharon was cooking.
Oh, woo, Sharon was cooking.
Yeah, BJ,
said, I had to let them hit you twice because the teacher usually doesn't see the first lick. That's true. They usually don't see the first lick.
True.
Yeah.
What no teachers in there. Crippling. Yeah, Ethan. Yeah. Migraines. Because I'm telling you, my head was hurting so bad. And then he hit me in the head. So that made it worse. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to have to show this dude something. I'm going to have to show him. I can show you better than I can tell him.
Man, I'm gonna have to say my first interaction with racism, I want to say it was either the 4th, 5th grade, one of them two. We was at recess and something happened. I don't know what happened, but I remember the white boy called me a nigga, and then I was sitting there. Then we got into a fight, and now we ain't sent to the principal's office. We sent to the vice principal's office, and it was a black lady. And, she had heard what had happened. So she had a conversation with us. And now the white boy, he's sitting there, he crying his ass off. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, well, I only got in a fight with him because he called me the N-word. And, she asked him, is this true? And he was like, yeah, but I didn't mean it like that. I was just saying that he was being, he said the whole definition of the N-word, being that he was ignorant and stuff like that. And I was sitting there in my head, I was like, so you was already taught to say this.
Right.
to defend yourself. Like, if
Right.
you ever say it, make sure that you have the whole definition in your back pocket. Like that's a.
Mhm.
And I was
To
just
get
sitting
away
there,
with it.
right, to get away with it. Like you
Mm,
already knew what the getaway card was with it. Like
exactly.
that's the whole thing I was thinking. I was like, I was stuck.
Hmm.
Like he stopped crying and everything in the middle of it.
Yeah. Dennis, they're taught. They're taught this from the very beginning. Just like our parents taught us to expect it, they're taught to do it.
Yeah.
They're taught.
And
There's
I
no
went
way
to
around it. That mess that happened at this mock slave auction, they were taught that. And one of my friends, shout out to Dr. Rhonda Taylor Bullock, she grew up going to that high school. And she was interviewed about this incident, and she told them, "Listen, I'm used to the microaggressions and the white supremacy and the racism from that school. I attended that school. I grew up with it. So this is something that's been going on in that county and in that school forever."
yeah, and at that time I was going to James Dobson Elementary. You ever seen Denzel Washington shoot the movie Fallen? He shot the
Hmm.
movie right outside the school. James Dobson Elementary.
I still haven't seen Fallen. Was
Yeah.
that a good movie?
Not to me it wasn't, but a lot of other people like it. Czar
Well,
liked
it's
it, so let me just say
well,
that.
Czar like anything, but I can't go by Czar. But Denzel, I haven't seen a Denzel movie I haven't liked yet.
Yeah, that's the truth. He does have
I
a
just
lot of
love
good
him.
movies.
I love him.
I wasn't that fond of Book of Eli. Wasn't that fond of that.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I wasn't happy. But now the movie Unstoppable about him with the train, I love that.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good one.
Yeah, I love that. Oh no, we do have some more news. I'm sorry, we have more news. I meant to say that. It's 2000. No. You said it's 2022. What do we do now? That's what you was
Oh
asking.
yeah, what do we do now? I mean, what do we do to stop this from going on?
You
This
got
is
to
the
first.
problem. This is the problem, Dennis. This country was built on racism and white supremacy. Period. Yes, it's built on freedom, but not freedom for us. Doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to us. I'm just telling you that's the history of why this place was built. We built it. So what do we do? And I always say one of the things that we as Black people need to do is we need to stop tearing ourselves apart internally so that we can think about what to do to make it a better place. My thing is this, Dennis. I want to get along with everybody. I love everybody. I love Black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian. Don't matter what you are. I just
All of
love
them.
people. I love everyone. Ethan's in the comments. He's a Bills fan. I love Ethan too. Damn that team, but I love him. He's a white guy. I love white people. I don't hate white people.
No, I ain't got
But
nothing
what I
against
do hate, I hate them crackers, white supremacists. That's who I hate. And
them.
that's what I don't
Them,
like.
them
It's just like,
January
just
6th motherfuckers.
right, just like Chris Rock said, I love Black people, I love white people. It's them crackers and niggas I can't stand. It's the same thing with me. I love everyone, but everyone don't love me. That's the problem. Everyone don't love me because I show up Black first, and they don't like that. Why is my skin color a weapon that makes you feel uncomfortable? That's what I want. I want to have a conversation with a room full of white supremacists and ask them that. That's what I want to do. I don't know what else to do but have conversations. After it seemed like after Oprah stopped talking about race on her show, all the talk shows stopped talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Well, it's 30 years later. You see where that's gotten us.
No way.
Before Oprah, there was Phil Donahue. He always talked about race on his show. It was needed, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to have these real conversations with white people anymore. So I'm sick of seeing these forums where you have an all Black panel You got all black people in the audience, carried on black stations, commercials on black TV shows, black ads. I'm sick of all that. Until we have conversations with each other to shut this mess down, it's not going to shut down. And that's it.
Yeah. Jonathan said, Cook sharing and said,
Thank
facts.
you,
We
Jonathan.
live
Thank
we
you.
live in a country that loves everything about our culture but hate us.
They hate us. Black people are the most hated people on the planet. Everywhere you go, there's a group of people who discriminate against us. It doesn't matter. Ukraine, the Russians came in there blasting, and guess who can't get on the train to get out of town? The white people are pushing the black people back, saying you can't get on the train. Why? Because you're black. That's it.
Hate us.
Everywhere you go, black woman in Great Britain, she was a midwife, well spoken, clean, well trained, been doing it for years. White woman hired her services online. She shows up, a black woman wouldn't even let her in her house. I'm sorry, I can't let you in. I didn't know you were a black woman.
Yeah.
I won't be needing your services. Shut the door in her face. I mean, just this is everywhere. Why? Why you hate me so much? I ain't do nothing to you. We built the damn country for free. Your family has money because my family did your work for free. So don't hate me. I don't understand that. Man, you got me, feeling like a KRS-One up in here. I'm gonna have to play all his music when I get off this podcast today.
Oh man. Wow. I'll tell you one thing though. And I can't 100% say this, but having a mock slave auction in Philadelphia, I don't think it's going to happen.
That's
now,
what I was going to ask you.
Now in
Does that go down in Philly?
It may go down to Pennsylvania, but Philadelphia?
Oh, yeah, it'd go down in Lidditz. But ain't gonna go down in Philadelphia. It'd go down in, you didn't know I knew about Lidditz, did you? Yeah, it'll go down in Lidditz, but it wouldn't go down in Philly.
No, they ain't going down in Philly. No.
What was it? College Station? It'll go down in College Station.
Yeah, probably Allentown.
Allentown.
Yeah, but they ain't going down in Philly. No.
I don't know about Hershey, but it wouldn't go down in Philly.
I only been there one time, so
I don't even think it'll go down in Pittsburgh right now. I don't know.
I ain't been to Pittsburgh. No, I did have to go to Pittsburgh one time. On my fault. So I've been to Pittsburgh one time.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. Like I said, I live in Durham County. It's the blackest county in North Carolina. We are not having that crap here. And it was said by other activists here in Durham, let something like that happen in Durham. This whole city would be on fire right now. And I don't mean flaming for real. I mean, like, we would shut this whole operation down. And that's the reason why we're organizing, even though that was in Chatham County, we're going to be sending delegations down there to protest because this is sickening.
Yeah, it definitely is. Now,
2022. I wish a one would try to sell me today. Wish you would. Be the last thing you ever try to buy or sell. Trust me.
Point a finger.
Shit. Man.
Well, this is the last weekend for Women Appreciation Month. And being the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court nomination hearings of Kajana Brown Jackson.
Katanji. See, I knew I'm going to have to help you. Say it to Toggle Viola. Say to his name.
To a Tugler Viola.
Oh, okay. Say Kristaps Porzingis.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Her name is Katanji Brown Jackson.
Katanji Brown Jackson.
That's right. Well, yeah, like you were saying, back in February, President Biden said that he was going to nominate her for the Supreme Court, keeping his promise to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. Well, they're having those hearing, those confirmation hearings, and I mean, they are just disrespecting this woman at every turn. When I say they, it's those senators, those Republican senators, male and female. The men are vicious, but the woman had the nerve to ask her, define what is your definition of a woman? She was asked that by a woman.
Some things I just don't understand.
Yeah.
What they got to do with you being in the Supreme Court?
Let me tell you what the problem is, Dennis. She's more qualified than every single sitting justice on the US Supreme Court right now, including the Chief Justice. She is more qualified. She has more experience. She's more learned in everything than any of them. That's their problem. That's what it is. But that's okay. We're going to get her nominated. I'm sorry. I just have to have hope. My hope goes all the way back to Jesse Jackson when he ran for president in the 80s. The hope, up with hope, down with dope. Then you had hope. Bill Clinton talking about hope, being from Hope, Arkansas, hope. Then you had President Obama talking about hope, talking about, hope, his presidency. The whole thing was based on hope. Hope keeps you alive, man. Hope goes right there with joy. You got to have hope so you can have some joy. This is the reason why I put that in here to talk about joy today, because you got to have that hope. People, you got to have hope to have joy. You got to have it. If you feel hopeless, you won't have any joy. You just won't. I want y'all to put this in the comments if you're listening to me. If you're listening, please put in the comments, what brings you joy? BJ, I'm asking a serious question. I bet not see something in there about some stupid Ravens beating the Steelers or no craziness like that. Put something real that's heartfelt, please, sir. Sir, put something in the comments. What brings you joy? What brings you that highest feeling of joy, that crazy, uncontrollable joy that you just gotta get it out? You're so joyful. You gotta express it, joy.
Sheila, Sister Sheila, are you talking about Clarence Thomas?
The Supreme Court justice, yes. His wife was in contact with Trump about the January 6th stuff, encouraging them to overthrow the government. Yes, there's emails and stuff between her and them.
Is that the same Clarence Thomas that had the situation with Anita Hill?
Yes, same one. Same one. But we want to talk about this joy. I want to go back to this joy because he is an embarrassment.
Man.
They really need to impeach his butt off the Supreme Court. I don't even know if that's.
I thought he got kicked out because of the whole, sexual harassment thing.
No, he didn't get kicked out. He's been sitting on there ever since.
Dang.
They did that. That was during his confirmation hearings. He got confirmed. It's a done deal. And when you serve on the Supreme Court for the rest of your life, unless you decide to step down.
And Jeannie's the same woman that he was married to back then?
Back then, yes.
The white woman with no ass? That's what
that's her.
That's what Eddie Griffin said. He married to a white woman at home, no ass.
Just add 30 pounds.
Anita come in with that big old ass and said, "Welcome to the job, baby."
Yep, that's the same chick. Just add 30 pounds on her. That's it. Yeah, ugly hawk nose chick.
Shout out to Eddie Griffin for for informing me about Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill.
Yes, joy. I was singing before the show, "You Bring Me Joy," Anita Baker. Just joy. I want joy. We need more joy in our lives. Put it in the comments. What brings you joy? Lacey J said, helping others in needs, making people happy brings me joy. That's what I'm talking about. That's what brings you joy, Dennis. What brings you joy?
Yeah, seeing people happy brings me joy.
Seeing
Let me,
people happy.
and then if you want to know the joke side, make sure these bills paid brings me joy. Still having some
No, that
money.
ain't no joke. That's not a joke. When let me tell you, I do happy dances when I can pay. In fact, when I get off this podcast, first thing I'm doing is making my car payment. That's gonna bring me joy.
Right, but you still got some money
I
in your
can pay
pocket.
it. Still got some money.
Yeah.
I'm paying for my car, so I'm gonna be doing the joy. I'm gonna be dancing the jig, shoulder shaking and everything. Yep.
Yeah, my other one used to be some fresh sneakers.
Well, what do you do to have joy in your life in general? Because we all face trials and tribulations, right? Things go on that can steal your joy. Things can go on that make you unhappy. Some you could lose a friend, somebody close to you could die, you could get a traffic ticket. Anything could happen to kind of give you a setback. But what do you do, Dennis, to bring you to a place of joy? What do you have to do to bring yourself internal joy on an average day?
Music is usually one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Music does it for me a lot.
Hmm.
I'm a big music lover. I listen to a lot of music, so that's usually one of the ones that get me filled
Anything else?
with. Sports, I would say, um, going to church, which I ain't been in a while. I've been on virtual church. I ain't been in the building in a while.
Well,
Since
virtual
COVID.
is just as good. It's just as
Not
good.
really. It feels better when you're in the building. I'm gonna have to
Well,
say.
of course it does, but at least you're
I feel
showing
like
up
I got this.
virtually.
I feel like I got the spirit when I'm in the building.
Right. Right,
Yeah.
you do. But at least you're showing up when it's virtual. You still at least get the word.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that, Vi. Keeping it simple, appreciating the little things. That's what I do. I always appreciate the little things. You know, I really don't get too mad about certain situations because that's like putting too much on certain people. So don't get too mad about certain situations.
Tavai also says sunny day surrounded by my team.
It ain't
So
got to be sunny. It could be raining outside. It could be snowing. But if
shout
we
out
together, I'm
to
happy.
Sweet
Sweet
Love
love.
TMA. Tavai giving a shout out to her podcast sisters, that it brings her joy to be around y'all. That's cool. You bring me joy, Dennis.
That's
You
good.
do.
You
You
bring me
bring me
joy.
joy. Yep. You bring
You
me
bring
joy.
me
When we
joy.
get in those Zoom meetings, me and you, and we collaborate on things and we brainstorm and we're clicking,
Yeah.
agreeing and disagreeing. It just brings me joy. Even though you did tell me you didn't support me in my last issue,
No, I
and
didn't. I'm not
I
going.
was hurt,
I'm not going.
hurt my
No,
feelings.
I'm not going to support. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I do not think the Pittsburgh Steelers had a better defense than the Cincinnati Bengals. No, I do not.
That's not what we were talking about. That's
That's
not
what I.
even what I'm talking about.
That's what
I
I
ain't
was talking
talking
about.
about that.
I do not. I was listening to that at work the other day. It's like, no, I do not agree. No, the Bengals won.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's fine. You don't have to.
yeah.
But we'll talk about that Tuesday. But anyway, yeah, you bring me joy. My family brings, my sister brings me joy. Okay.
Yeah, family,
I've
friends.
always looked up to my sister. There's a 4-year difference between us. She's older. And I've always just looked at her like she's larger than life to me. Like, my sister would come in the room and I'd just be like, oh, that's my sister. I've always been this way since we were little kids. Just love my sister. That's my sister. I don't know. I'm just that way. She
I
brings
actually,
me joy.
I actually like to see people winning. You know what I mean?
I love
Just
to see
winning,
people winning. Hmm.
I went to school with some people, and now they doing bigger and better things in movies, on
Hmm.
TV shows, and got comedy things going on. I was like, yo, I'm glad to see you win. He was like, yo, I'm surprised anybody came out to support me, man. I was like, man, just keep doing your thing, just keep winning. Just keep winning out there, man. Enjoying life. Keep winning.
And let me tell you, what about this, Dennis? What about people who seem to be going down a difficult path, but then you check back in with them and you see they've turned all of that around,
Yeah,
and
that's
they're growing and excelling, and you can see them edge easing on up. That
that's
to
a
me brings me joy.
that's a good thing. That's definitely a
Yeah,
good thing because
they
if
fought through
you
some things, and now they're winning. It's like my son has had some difficult things in his younger days, but now it's like he's coming into his own as a young man, a new father, and everything. He's just doing his thing. That brings me joy.
Stan, what's going on, Stan? Shout out to Stan, man. Stan had a hell of a show yesterday with Marvin O'Connor, man. I got to get Marvin O'Connor on the show, but shout out to Stan, man. And yes, I will be at the Philly All American game, my good brother. Keep doing your thing. Another guy out there winning,
Is
doing
is
things.
Is
Trying.
Stan a musician?
No, Stan is actually a basketball coach. And I would say he's very influential on Philadelphia basketball. Yeah, just Philadelphia basketball. I would say he's very influential on Philadelphia basketball, and also he's also a
Well, I
minister.
got my jersey on, basketball jersey.
He's also a minister at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right, Stan. Stan gonna come on the show.
Yeah, we're gonna have Stan on the show in May, so he can tell us about the Philly All American game, and then he can tell us about the things he does through his ministry, how he brings basketball and the Bible together. Yeah, Stan's a
That's
great
dope.
dude. Stan's a great dude, man. You know what I mean? I call him the plug, man, because who I met Stan, I met a lot of other people and helped me, navigate through this Philly basketball circuit. Because there's a lot of questions I really want to ask about this Philly basketball thing, because I got guys to tell me that Philadelphia basketball is bigger than Philadelphia boxing. And I was like, well, I believe Philadelphia is actually a boxing town first, and then it's a basketball. Basketball will be second. But they tell me basketball is first and boxing is second. So I said there's a lot of questions I gotta do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked a minute ago about music bringing us joy.
Oh
What are
yeah.
some of your favorite songs that you listen to get you going in the morning, Dennis?
Um, I, I'm kind of everywhere, but right now I want to say for the last 2 weeks, Frank Ocean, Pink and White, Mary Jane Girls All Night Long, Bruno Mars, Smoking Out the Window. That's actually the funniest one. Smoking Out the Window. That's the funniest one. Babyface, Whip Appeal, the Jackson 5, Can You Feel It? Faded Pictures by Case and Joe, and I'm Gonna Be by Donnell Jones.
I love Donnell Jones.
And the Sunday Service Choir has a song called Rain that they took from, I think it's SWV. Yeah, that'll be all of mine. Mariah Carey, Stay the Night. It's the last one. That's what I've been listening to for the last 2 weeks. Not my fault. It's another one. Kevin Hart, Push It On Me. Kevin Hart and Trey Songz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, some of the songs that I like to listen to in the morning, especially to get me going. You know that song Jesus Can Work It Out?
Yeah.
Man. I used to play that. They used to play that on the morning radio show at 6 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday. And soon, my son even recognized it because he would hear me playing it loud and dancing to it. So after a while, he started coming in there with me. And every morning, 6 a.m., we would do that before we go to work and school. Jesus can work it out. Jesus can work it out. Jesus
Now,
can work it out.
I'm gonna tell you what was funny to me where I heard it at. I
Where?
heard R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet. He was playing that song.
Okay, let's move on. I
R.
hate
Kelly, the artist, not the guy, just the
I don't
artist.
care about all that, but I hate that Trapped in the Closet. I hated the whole thing. I didn't.
Oh, that Trapped in the
There's
Closet was
nothing about it I
genius.
liked. Nothing.
It was genius. It
No,
was
it wasn't.
brilliant.
I
He
hated
did
it.
a great job on Trapped in the Closet.
And I love him as far as the artist is concerned.
Yeah, as far as
I
the
think
music.
he's a genius, but I did not like that. You remind me of my Jeep. Didn't like that. Just didn't like it. That's it. But anyway, so Jesus Can Work It Out. Gotta say, Blessed and Highly Favored by the Clark sisters.
Yeah.
Gotta sing that. But then I move into Rock Steady, Aretha Franklin. There's something
Rockstar
about that
again.
song. Something about the way she sings that song, boy.
What
And
it
that
is,
and
what
that
it
and that
is.
yeah, it makes you do your shoulders just like that. I can't
What it
sing it
is, what it
standing still.
is.
Can't sing it standing still. And
Oh, Rockstar baby.
yeah, man. And she says, shake and move your hips and you're feeling from side to side. I'll be like, oh, sucky now. Rock Steady gets me going just about every single morning. But also, Bad Boys, P. Diddy and them singing Can't Nobody Hold Me Down. That's my song. That's where the name of the show came from today because I had to play that. Don't push me. I'm close to the edge, but I ain't gonna lose my head. You're not gonna keep me. You're not gonna hold me down. That's it.
Right.
I don't
Now
care
the
what's going
song's
on.
on a hot track, melt like it's hot wax, put it out.
No, Lord, here we
Shot
go.
that.
Here we go. He got to get that out of his system, folks. He
Now
just
you gotta hit the P. Diddy dance on that joint. You know how it go.
got to do the P. Diddy dance.
You gotta
you
do
know.
the P. Diddy dance.
But yeah, those songs get me going in the morning. They get me going. Mm-hmm.
I have to agree, yeah. Because I gotta be to work by like 7. So those the music I listen to get me going.
Yeah, but that Jesus Can Work It Out.
That
Those
Bruno Mars smoking out the window.
Yeah, see, nothing Bruno Mars gets me going. Nothing. I don't care what he's talking about. It's just he's okay. I don't hate him, but I'm not a big fan. And nothing about his music like inspires me or anything like that. Really. No.
Yeah, Bruno Mars smoking out the window.
What is it? What's the word? What's the lyrics talking about?
They talking about how this girl cheated on him.
Why would you want to hear that and get you going in the morning? I don't want to hear about nobody cheating on me in the morning.
Because it's the way obviously you ain't hear the song. It's the way he says it, and it's like right on point. And you be like, what do you say? Not to be dramatic, but I wanna die. This bit got me paying the rent. It's just so funny the way he go just snap like that. I'll be cracking up every time.
I like the song. I just don't know what he's saying. I never paid attention to the lyrics, so maybe I'll just have to listen.
Here I am all alone. I'm so cold. She got me out here smoking out the window.
Okay.
How could she do this to me?
Okay. Jay Jones said that song is fire. Okay.
Yeah.
What else we got? What else we got, champ?
No, that is it. That is it. We're gonna end it with Bruno Mars. And let everybody know that well, I can obviously say today now. I was gonna say this morning, but today is gonna be a great day for y'all. Now, do you have any last words?
Oh, sure. I just want to say, I know you guys, I announced a little while ago that I had my first grandbaby. Grandbaby's doing well. He's going on 2 months old. It's so cute. Love being a grandma. But hold on to those that you love. Tell them how you feel about them, because it's too late when they're gone. Give them their flowers while they're alive. And you hear people say this all the time, right? You need to do that. Do you actually do it? I just want to give you something to think about. Do you actually do it? You need to do it. Also, don't let anybody hold you down. Just like we said today. And so my quote is, if people are doubting how far you can go so far that you can't hear them anymore. You get it, Dennis?
Yeah.
If people are doubting how far you can go so far that you can't even hear them anymore. That's what I'm going to leave with y'all today. So happy Saturday to everybody. Peace and blessings, love and light. Just be kind to each other. Be kind. We need kindness in this world. Thanks to everybody that joined us in the comments
Thanks, J.
today.
John.
Thanks for your patience and us getting started today. But you know we're gonna come with some fire. Sometimes just things happen to set us back a little bit, but you can't hold us down because we decide, Jawn. Can't nobody hold us back. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Any last words, Dennis?
My last words is you were talking about joy. Make sure you find some joy in every day of your life. All right. There's gonna be bad days out there. But you make sure you find some joy in every day of your life. That's what you make sure you do. Because it's going to be rough, but get you some joy out there because you're going to need it. I want to say thank y'all for showing up today. We had a great day. It was a good show. God bless. Great day.